Happy 100th episode to all you wonderful listeners. I have a special invitation to commemorate this occasion. Over the next month or so, I'm going to be rebranding Prosper for Purpose, and I'm inviting you along for a behind-the-scenes look at my process. So grab some paper and a pen because we start now. Welcome to Brand for Good, the show for purpose-driven leaders who want to build timeless brands and create sustainable impact. I'm Lorraine Sugart, former PR and marketing executive turned founder of the disruptive agency Prosper for Purpose. I've worked with some of the world's most beloved brands, and I'm here to help you elevate your brand identity, visibility, influence, and impact. Are you ready to brand for good? Let's go. Have you ever thought about rebranding your company? You know, compelling copy, show-stopping design, and a website that you're proud to send people to? I certainly have. In fact, I go through this process about every 3 years. And guess what? This is the year. I'm inviting you to join me over the next 4 more weeks as I share my process with you right here on Brand for Good. Today, I'll discuss the 5 signs that you're due for a rebrand, the difference between the various processes of branding, and I'll share why I'm upbranding Prosper for Purpose. Let's dive in. First, what are the 5 signs that it's time to rebrand? The first one is that your product or service has evolved. So every product or service exists to meet a particular need for a specific customer. Over time, the scope or focus of your product or service will likely evolve to match changing consumer tastes, changes in technology, and other market forces. If your product or service has changed in a way that no longer fits its former identity, it's time to rebrand. Sometimes it's the owner's tastes that change. So an example of this is when someone decides to switch from a done-for-you model to a teaching model, or vice versa. They're offering the same expertise in a different container, and it's time to rebrand. Number 2 is to distinguish yourself from competitors. Basically, what branding is for. So organizations with similar markets and audiences that aren't careful to differentiate their branding is messaging, look and feel of your website, even some of the things that you may say in your ads, you may inadvertently start to look the same to your prospective customers or clients. And sometimes one brand will even intentionally copy another more successful brand. So your brand is your opportunity to communicate what makes you different from your competition. If you need to rebrand in order to strengthen your points of differentiation, make sure you are thinking about your organization's long-term unique purpose and not just reacting to trends among your peers. So an example of this from a while back is both Box and Dropbox, 2 companies whose services are essentially the same, evolved their brands to adhere to their specific target audience needs. So Box is a very popular choice for enterprises, where Dropbox has dominated the consumer market. Dropbox announced a rebrand back in 2017 using the tagline, "The world needs your creative energy." And this indicated a shift to focusing on the creative industries along with small businesses and startups. The differences between these 2 companies' focus areas are heavily reflected in their visual identities. Number 3, third reason, is to appeal to a new audience. So after a brand's initial novelty wears off, the fight to stay relevant begins, because you always get attention when you're new, right? You're the new kid on the block, you're the new business, you're the new person showing up. But then you have to compete on relevancy. So in saturated markets where competition is high, customers may choose other options and lose the connection to your brand. So in this case, going through the process of rebranding can help you refine your brand messages and create stronger relationships with your audience and potentially even expand into new markets. So, great examples of this are social media platforms. For example, as Facebook saw its audience begin to age, they recognized a huge opportunity to make it a go to platform for business owners. From private Facebook groups to advertising, the company's growth is largely now driven by businesses. Then there's TikTok, whose future is uncertain. TikTok targeted young millennials and Gen Z, and its growth exploded when this younger demographic began to build businesses from viral videos. The fourth reason that you may need to rebrand is to recover from an outdated message or design. So sometimes your message simply no longer resonates with your clients or customers. Do you remember when Walmart's slogan was always low prices? That slogan worked for years and then suddenly it didn't. Walmart did research and found that people equated low prices with inferior products. Then Walmart changed their slogan to save money, live better, to more closely align the brand with customer perceptions. The core message of affordability was still there, but they took the slogan in a more positive, benefit-focused direction. Other times, a formerly beloved design of a brand can feel a bit outdated. MasterCard rebranded its card image for the digital age, and sometimes, like in this case, a rebrand can be limited to just a new logo or design. Now, the final reason that it may be time for a rebrand is to show growth, maturity, or evolution. Rebranding is a sign of innovation. There is change happening. If your brand has significantly expanded, added markets, or significant services, or if you, as the owner, have undergone a metamorphosis, then your brand should change to reflect this new era. And that is where I found myself earlier this year. But before I take you down my path, let me say this. If any of the 5 scenarios I just explained sound like you or your business, it's worth considering a rebrand. Whether you conduct the rebrand in-house or work with an agency like Prosper for Purpose, it's important to step back and approach the redesign through a holistic lens. This means getting input from your clients, your employees, and other relevant stakeholders. Then you can let that and your owner's intuition guide you to think about what your goals will be for your rebranding process. When done correctly, rebranding your product, service, or your entire business can give you a tremendous return on investment and can be the difference between thriving or barely surviving in changing markets. So, how much and what kind of branding might you need? So, let's just underscore that rebranding is part of a marketing strategy where either part of or all of your brand is recreated in order to establish a new, differentiated identity in the minds of the public. You might want to only refine your messaging so that it's more clear and compelling. You might want to change your brand colors to change some of your brand energy. Or you might want to change a few things like your colors and some of your messaging, but keep most other components of your brand the same. This is called a brand refresh. Think of it as a new paint color on your house versus a redesign, or a great new haircut versus a complete makeover. Then there's a full rebrand, in which oftentimes only the business name and core products or services remain, but essentially everything else changes. So what am I doing with Prosper for Purpose? It's more than a refresh and less than a full rebrand. We're keeping our logo, our purpose, and vision, but everything else is being weighed and considered. Why? because over the past few years, I have been going through my own personal metamorphosis. And over the past year, I've been thinking about the evolution of my business. I'm at an age and stage where I'm thinking about legacy. Prosper turned 11 in January, but I've been writing content and copy for more than 3 decades. Ditto for PR. I also have more than a decade now of brand identity work experience. It's a lot of experience, and I can't take it with me. So last year, I considered Prosper's history. I thought about how I started with a clear idea of what I wanted to build and how over time I had adopted a few other people's ideas and paths because, frankly, I was skilled at my craft, but not skilled at running a business. Now I have 11 years of owning and running an agency. And not only is it not like any other agency I know, but I don't want it to be. And then I started realizing that for all the we my agency is and has always been, at its core, it's truly me. I'm the one whose vision we follow. I'm the one who stays awake at night thinking about how to find the best opportunities for my clients or who our next client might be. And that's not to say that team is any less important than it's ever been, because it's not. Catherine has been with me since month 2 and over 11 years now, which is unheard of in any industry. She's a smart, calm presence in my life and a great strategist and writer for Prosper. My daughter, Lindsay, has been working with us for nearly 3 years now and already had over a decade of marketing experience on her own. Fred, our tech assistant, has been with us for nearly 4 years and on and on. All this to say, I love my team, but no one loves Prosper like I do. I'm the front person who opens and closes the business each day, and maybe that should be part of the Prosper brand. I also thought about how my company can best support who I am now. And I started a notebook. Actually, it morphed into several notebooks depending on where I was at the moment. And I just started recording my ideas and thoughts. I started with my top 2 core desired feelings, freedom and love, and decided that they will be 2 of our guiding principles for this next evolution of Prosper. So back to legacy for a minute. When we hear legacy, we initially think about money or property or a business that you give to someone else. For me, legacy is about how much impact I can make now and the ripples that will continue when I'm gone from this planet. Ooh, that feels a little bit heavy, right? But actually, it's not. It's pretty simple. What do I want to do that will continue after I'm gone? You know, people talk all the time about passive income when they should be talking about ripples. What continues indefinitely without your continued effort? It's so much better, right? Impact that is simple in structure and fun to co-create. That's what I want. Simple means reevaluating our services, streamlining our processes, and options to work with us. Co-create means I double down on who I work with, from team to clients, partners, everyone. I double down on who I love to work with. I know who that is. So let's just be clear. So what does this mean? It means prosper, but better. And that's what upbranding is. And I bet you've been listening, wondering when the heck I was going to define that, weren't you? Upbranding is about offering a new version of an existing product or service with perceived luxury value. Prosper has been slowly upbranding for more than 3 years. Our logo changed from emerald and lime to sapphire and emerald, and we added a gold ring around the P. At that time, We were using a soft green paper textured background and gold accents. We have a wax seal image on our site, and our proposals are gorgeous. These visual tweaks took Prosper from what was originally a very organic feeling brand to one that felt way more personal, like you were looking at the desk of a writer. So what's next? Well, next week I'll talk about my inspiration for the look and feel of the new brand and some of the business decisions I've made about Prosper's position in the market. I hope you'll join me. And if there's something you'd like me to talk about during this series, drop me a line at Lorraine@prosperforpurpose.com. I'll be waiting. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Brand for Good show. If you like what you heard, please hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and leave a review so other purpose-driven leaders can find this valuable content. To learn more about building a brand for good, please visit prosperforpurpose.com for more resources and information on all the ways you can work with us.